Welcome to the Artistry and Life podcast, Navigating Towards Happiness. I'm your host, Ray, and with me I have my co-host, life practitioner and coach, Marking. What's going on, Marking?
How you doing, my friend?
Good, man. Today, man, all I could say is feelings.
Nothing more than feelings, my
Nothing
friend.
more than feelings, man.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to talk about on this podcast today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about feelings for sure. It's actually an introduction to some of the tools. Last episode, we talked more about mindset. We discussed the framework, right? And we talked about inflamed ego and higher self. And that framework allows us a different lens to look at as we start to make choices for ourselves. Helps to get you to make, or at least acknowledge that you can make a better informed decision on navigating towards happiness.
So with that being said, with the tools that we're already given, now we could discuss our feelings.
Well, yeah, we have some of the tools and we get to talk about the importance of processing those feelings and not bypassing what it is that we're experiencing within that framework, right?
Okay.
So
got it.
One of the things that we talked about in the last episode was Reframe to Reclaim. That was one of the tools that we talked about, right?
Yeah.
And Reframe to Reclaim is taking a situation and taking how it is affecting us in a negative way and reframing that in flipping the script so that we start to get our power back and look at it from a different perspective as it relates to our mission statement, our North Star.
Awesome. Okay. But before we get started, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. And Marking always likes to say,
yeah, please share, ladies and gentlemen. Please share.
Make sure you guys share it.
Yeah, it helps us out.
So let's get started. I'm just going to throw out these feelings and you kind of tell me what I should do with them. I'm angry. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm excited. You know, those are kind of like the normal feelings that we feel. And you're talking about recognizing them, feeling them, allowing them to happen. Is that correct?
Yeah, we get to acknowledge what those feelings are. It was starting to get into how when we use the tool of Reframe to Reclaim, those are the mechanics that we get to use within that framework. We're moving from a situation from an inflamed ego and moving from making a decision from there to higher self and making a more informed and empowered decision from that place. There's the mechanics in the Reframe to Reclaim in that, right?
Okay.
The example that I often use is when you stub your toe early in the morning and you immediately start to get angry. It's like, oh my God, I just stubbed my toe. I got to deal with this. Now I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Go get my coffee. The coffee spills. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to ruin the rest of my day. It starts you on that trajectory. That's how you experience that. That's how you hold it in that moment. The tool of reframing is looking at that situation and approaching it from a perspective of, wow, I just stubbed my toe. I stubbed my toe. Actually, maybe this is a sign for the universe, from the universe to tell me to slow down. Maybe I should just slow down and take my time with my things today. And that's an example of Reframe to Reclaim. You're taking a situation and making it better for yourself so that it aligns with your mission statement or your North Star, which is happiness. I mean, you would agree, right? Operating from a place of, oh my God, this ruined my day and set you on a trajectory, or the universe is telling me to just slow down, operating from that perspective, which would be the healthier choice for you to make in relation to your North Star, right?
Definitely slow down, because what that reminds me of, and it's probably happened to me several times, where I stub my toe. I don't think about it. I just get pissed off. I spill my coffee, like you said. I can't find my keys. I go to my car. I find my keys. I go to my car. I think I'm on time, and then I hit traffic. Then I'm late. I try to call my boss. My boss isn't answering. Maybe he's somewhere. I can't get a hold of him. So now I'm really late.
Mhm.
And then now I'm thinking like, what the hell's going to happen? Fear kicks in about my boss is going to get mad at me, all that stuff, because I wasn't able to contact him or her. So,
Mhm.
all those things is just, it's like a snowball effect.
Right. It sends you on a trajectory.
Yeah.
So the reframe to reclaim is to give yourself an alternative on how to approach that situation. Those are the mechanics of it. But within those mechanics, there are these feelings that we experience. It's not like we get to reframe to reclaim and then disregard the feelings and then sweep it under the rug. Like that is not a healthy way of a healthy practice.
Yeah.
What you can do and what you actually should do is acknowledge what those feelings are. It's like, oh, okay, I'm angry. I'm pissed off because I stubbed my toe. If I reframe to reclaim and look at it from a perspective of, okay, I just need to slow down. That's what the universe is telling me. How am I feeling now? Okay, I don't feel as angry. I don't feel as frustrated. In a nutshell, that's an example of experiencing and allowing that energy for it to move through you so that it no longer has hold on you. It's not being swept under the
Yeah.
rug.
Well, what does it feel like if I am sweeping it under the rug? If I stub my toe every day, Monday through Friday, and I'm sweeping it under the rug, and
Right.
because a lot of people probably don't think about that. They're like
Mhm.
robots, right? They
Mhm.
stub their toe, coffee always spills. They can't find
Mhm.
their keys. They get in the car, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
right? It's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm
you tell
sweeping this anger under the rug, and now it's
right.
this big ball of like
Yeah.
anger
Right.
under the rug.
Exactly.
So how does one like reframe to reclaim it? And I know you went over that, but like if I can't just I can't snap out of that. Like
Mhm.
these are one of the tools, and hopefully people are listening, right? And
Mhm.
this is one of the tools that you could use. Just slow down, reframe it to reclaim it. But what does that look like when it's a big ball of anger underneath the rug?
Well, if you are not in practice of addressing those feelings and it starts to pile up and becomes that big ball, you tell me, what does that look like for you? What do you think that would look like if you have all this anger and frustration just balled up? What does that look like to you?
Oh, to me, it could look like a disease later on in the future,
Exactly.
or
Right.
losing my hair, or people getting more acne, or whatever that is. It's like I'm
Hmm.
not paying attention to my body, and now I'm creating disease within my body. And that might be too much to say, but I've seen people that just bottle up their feelings and never release it, never tell
Hmm.
anybody about how they're feeling, and it
Hmm.
just kind of ruins their life without them even knowing it.
Yeah, and that's a good observation. That's a great assessment. You know what I mean? When you do not process those energies, those negative energies that just sit in you, they start to physicalize themselves. It can manifest itself in skin irritations or high blood pressure or high stress levels or heart attack. It can manifest it can manifest it with its ways into that. So that's why it's really important for us to really acknowledge those feelings,
Yeah.
try to understand what those feelings are, where they're coming from, and allow that energy to start to move because it's just lodged in our being. So you want to take these practices like reframe to reclaim to help to start release those energies to help them move through you. And then, for more of the deeper issues, the ones that are tied to some sort of trauma, then another tool that you can use is journaling, and being able to use journaling as a tool to help again move that energy through you and experience those feelings. Then more importantly, to really acknowledge that those feelings exist.
Really express how you feel on paper to release that energy.
Absolutely.
I would just
Absolutely.
probably, if it was anger, write it all down, tear it apart, crumple it, put it in fire, and just let it go.
Yeah, and that's a practice that's not only a good practice, but a very symbolic practice. When you're writing something, one of the examples is that go fuck yourself letter, right? For example, a Dear John letter is like, I hate you because of this, this, this. You fucking did this to me, and I resent you for this. And by the way, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? You journal about that, everything that you're experiencing about that relationship, what went wrong with that, and then you just crumple it up or you burn it as a symbolism of being able to let go of those feelings, a symbolism of like, of you have no more power over me. I'm taking my power back. And in that dialogue that starts to energetically, physically, you start to feel that, and energetically that can start to move out, or move through you. And again, that's just one of the tools that we get to use in having to deal with an inflamed ego.
And when you say inflamed ego, can you just tell me real quick, tell me what inflamed ego is again?
Yeah, inflamed ego. We talked a lot about that in the last episode, so you guys can revisit episode 5 and take a listen to the entire framework. But inflamed ego, in a nutshell, is ego plus some sort of level of stress. What does that look like? That can look like depression. That can look like anger. Can look like anxiety, worry. All those are ego plus some sort of level of stress. And when you're operating from that perspective, you're operating from a place of survival mode, crisis mode. You're in reaction. You become very reactionary to the situation. You don't have time to think about, because your survival mode is kicked up immensely, depending on the severity of the stress that you're experiencing. But that's what an inflamed ego is. And part of what the practices in Reframing to Reclaim is allowing you to move from making a decision from your inflamed ego to making a healthier, more informed decision from your higher self.
Got it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in your higher self, part of your ego, you're operating from a place of love and compassion. You're being more mindful, more thoughtful, more heartful. And you have the ability to respond and take ownership in what it is you choose or say to do next. So if you look at those two examples, where would you want to make a decision from your inflamed ego or your higher self, right?
This kind of like really brings back road rage.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the moment, you could be angry, but then if you step back real quick and say, well, maybe that guy stubbed his toe and he's angry. And I shouldn't allow that to affect me, because if I let him affect me or her affect me, then I could go off the handle and it just gets crazy.
Sure. That's an example of exercising love and compassion, right? You're exercising love and compassion and choosing to look at that person as like, oh, maybe that person did stub their toe. And that's also a good way to approach it. And in exercising that compassion for that person, you're also allowing yourself a little bit of grace too. It's like, okay, I don't need to get frustrated. I get to take more understanding, use more understanding or compassion in this person's situation. And what you're actually doing in that situation, what you think you're doing for that other person, you're also exercising compassion for yourself, because you're allowing yourself that grace to take that moment and not be reactive.
Yeah. So that ease, flow, and grace helps me get to, a happier place. It allows me to navigate towards happiness, right?
Yes, exactly.
So even in that day, like if I'm thinking, like, let's say I have a presentation that day at work and I stub my toe and I let that affect everything, that presentation is more than likely is not going to be good at all.
Well, I would say that if you don't address the feelings that you're experiencing and use the other tools to like reframe to reclaim or journaling, if you don't take that time for yourself to do that, then you don't set yourself up for success in that presentation. There's some sort of resistance that you're experiencing that you're going to take into that presentation.
So it's obvious to just step back, take a deep breath, relax, calm myself down, and then move on.
Exactly. And the act of doing that it allows us to be more conscious of our ways of being. 95% of our time, we move through our life not even being conscious about what it is that we're thinking or feeling. We may be thinking about, okay, this is what I got to do next, but we're not looking at it from a lens of really thinking about what it is that I'm feeling or how it is I'm feeling and experiencing those things.
So it's basically what you're saying is like, if someone cuts me off while driving, right away, anger kicks in. I'm just pissed off.
Exactly. That's a subconscious, but that's a reactionary
Yeah.
way of being, and that's essentially subconscious because that's what you're not even thinking about. You're just reacting. But if you take that time to be more conscious about what it is that you're thinking or how you're reacting, then you empower yourself to make a different decision, again, as it relates to your North Star or your mission statement.
So you basically have to be aware of it happening. Because if I'm a robot and that happens, anger kicks in right away. But now you're saying to use this as a tool
Mm-hmm.
to better navigate through life, right? Find
Mm-hmm.
happiness. That anger kind of kicks in right away. And it's like it's hard to at
Mm-hmm.
that moment kind of pull back. I mean, I know it's a practice. So how long is it going to take before I recognize and I'm aware of this reaction that I'm giving every time I get cut off on the road?
How long did it take you to walk?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean, it takes what it takes, right?
Yeah.
You know, again, it is a practice, but you can't have a practice if you don't start. So you have most of the people that are coming to me, they're looking for a way to start, right? So this is the being self-aware, starting to be in practice of being self-aware. Start that, and then you can start. That's your foundation of where you can begin, and then you just build on it with these tools and the framework, and build a practice out of it, because this is a practice.
Yeah.
How when will you get there? Depends on how much you practice it. Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You got that.
Right.
So my question is navigating towards your happiness, your North Star. This tool would allow me to really work through my feelings, whatever they are, and try to navigate towards that happiness. Now, what does that look like? Like if I have my North Star and I'm now dealing with my emotions and feelings, I mean, what does that look like getting out of it?
What does that look like getting out of it?
Getting out of those emotions and feelings that I've been holding on to and sweeping under the rug.
It's experiencing and acknowledging what those feelings are that you're having. Once you're acknowledging what those feelings are, you reframe to reclaim the situation, and you get to ask yourself, okay, after I've reframed to reclaim, how do I feel in that moment? How do I identify as my ego in that moment? Is it an inflamed ego, or is that my higher self? If it's an inflamed ego, then you get to reframe again to reclaim your power, and then check in again. Okay, I've reframed it this way. How do I feel in this moment? Well, I feel a lot better. The anger has subsided. In fact, it's not as present anymore if I'm starting to hold the situation from this perspective, through this reframe. Now I can make a better decision. So through that power of reframing to reclaiming, you're allowing yourself to move through those feelings and that situation or that event that took place. It no longer has hold to you. You may have reacted to it initially with anger or frustration, but because you've reframed that, you're starting to let go of that energy, where it doesn't have as much of a hold on you.
So once that's clear, it's kind of like doing things on your gut. Like if your gut feels good, then I feel good about it.
It starts to peel back the layers on being able to listen to your intuition. For
It's
sure.
like my body is reacting to something differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I'm angry, I get tensed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm happy and I like my decision,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited and I'm like, feeling really good about myself
Mm-hmm.
and about the situation that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that feeling of like my body and how it feels and, happy, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that allows me to navigate towards my happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts about feelings and
Well, actually, I do have a couple of closing thoughts. To your point, like this one, it is very hard to take that first step, but don't be afraid to to make that first step and asking for help or seeking out information. I mean, we're in the information age, right? There's so much information out there that we have access to. So there's really no excuse for us to at least seek out that information, and don't be afraid. Have the courage to invest in yourself in that way, and trust that once you take that step, as scary as it may be, that on the other side of that fear are going to be some really beautiful things and moments that you'll be able to start to experience. That being said, that once you start, it doesn't stop. It's a practice, and as you practice, you get better at using the tools and using the framework. And even when you are in mastery of the framework and the tools, that in itself is continually evolving, because you are evolving. And when you are evolving, you have different experiences and you have newer information to work with. And when you have new information, you allow yourself to make different decisions, more decisions that are more empowering and more impactful in your ways of being, again, as it relates to your mission statement. And that's the path towards navigating towards happiness.
Dude, I'm going to steal a line that you always say. Who dang.
Yes. Who dang it is, for
Who
sure.
dang it is. Yeah. So with that being said, you got a quote?
I do have a quote, and it's the same quote that I used last week. And because of what we had talked about today, it really emphasizes the importance of getting started, the difficulties of getting started, and the practice and the hard work that it takes to maintain that practice, and discipline for yourselves. Discipline is self-love. So, we get to keep that in mind as we go through this practice. The quote is, and I'm not sure who said this, and I have a bunch of quotes where I'm not sure who said it, but whoever said
anonymous.
it, anonymous, but whoever said it, you get credit. Crediting you. The quote is, if you do what is easy, life will be hard. If you do what is hard, life will be easy. So stay in practice, folks. Get into practice, stay in practice, evolve, and I guarantee some good things will happen for you if you do that.
All right. Well said, man.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. And if you really like this episode, go ahead and type in like in the comment section.
Yes, that would be
awesome. And don't
awesome.
forget to share it.
And don't forget to share it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Marking. Thanks for helping out with this episode. I know it's kind of heady and deep and emotional and a lot of feelings, but
great stuff. It's great stuff. It's what we get to talk about and share with everybody, and it's important. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you all listening.
All right. Till next episode. Next time. See you next time.
Who dang.